Straight talk with our customers, the questions we field, and problems we help solve as food scientists.
But it's okay, we got solutions.
We're making it easy to make your products shine.
This is Straight Talk About Smart Food, a podcast about that fascinating place where food and science intersect.
Hello, welcome to Straight Talk About Smart Food. I'm Yvette Hirang, the Research and Development Chef and Culinary Innovations Manager of MGP. And we're here inside our pod, located at our MGP headquarters in Atchison, Kansas. And I'm joined today by my pod buddies.
I'm Sarah Fisher. I'm the Food Technology Manager.
And I'm Jennifer Dunn Carlson, Senior Scientist in Product Development.
Welcome. So today we're going to talk about issues and how we solve them. Not personal issues, no,
Right.
that's a different podcast.
Not a
but
therapist.
issues that our customers encounter and how we help them solve it. So, Sarah, you deal a lot with a lot of our customers. We have a very good customer engagement department with our sales team. So, what are some of the issues that they go to you with, and how do you solve them?
Well, I think right now a lot of companies are trying to make healthier for you type products, like adding protein or fiber, that kind of thing. But when they're adding all these other types of healthy ingredients, it causes some problems, challenges, exactly. And, whether it's different water absorption that's required, different mix times maybe that they're finding, they try all these different solutions. And where I like it if they just kind of come to us as an ingredient supplier and ask us right away, so we can save them time, really, because sometimes it's where, they need to increase mix time or change water, but there's some examples like this Italian bread example.
Okay,
and
it's
so
in baking.
Yes, in baking.
Okay.
And so they tried all these other changes in the plant, different bake times, that kind of thing. But really, all they had to do is come to us and just add 1.5 bakers percent of Arise 6000. It's a wheat protein isolate, and it didn't have to change any mix times. They still got the same volume. It wasn't shrinking anymore. So it was solving all of their problems just with a very small amount of this wheat protein isolate. So that's something that I love doing, is just helping out a customer, get to their solution really quickly without even having to change any processing parameters.
Yeah, and they share their formulas with you, and then you help them break it down.
Typically not
really?
and that's fine. Sometimes, then we'll have an NDA.
How do you help them if you don't know
Yeah.
how they make it?
Well,
Is that a struggle for you guys?
So sometimes they'll have an NDA in place, sometimes not. And sometimes they will give a formula or a starting recipe. And other times I'm just making my own bread here, adding that wheat protein isolate to it and just showing, the differences that I can make. Sometimes we'll also get their baking mix too, that I'll add something into as well. But what's your experience?
Yeah, a lot of my customers that I worked with at previous jobs tended to be really cagey about what they were trying to develop, right? Which is fine. Everybody wants to protect their AP,
Exactly.
but especially when we're doing some seasoning work, right? They're like, we want a seasoning for chicken, and I'm like, what are you doing to the chicken?
Exactly.
Just chicken seasoning. I'm like, okay.
So how do you work with that? Like, it's so broad. The question is so broad.
Yeah.
So how do you dissect it? How do you narrow it down to exactly how to help solve that issue?
I always find that a lot of it is, without delving too deeply, trying to get at least basic processing information. Like, at least for that, in that work, it was like, are you frying it or baking it, right? Like, is it for retail or food service? Some of those basic questions, right? And then if it's like a flavor problem, right? Trying to pin down exactly what flavor component they're missing. Like, if they can, like you said, sometimes they get the bake mix. Sometimes if they can send you a sample, even if they don't give you anything about it, you can at least try it and be like, okay, let me see what I can do with this, right?
So you're kind of like acting like a detective, an investigator.
Yeah,
You have
always.
to like search for your own information because they won't necessarily like give it to you and give it all to you. So you kind of have to do detective work. And is that part of how to be, how to work in food science? And like you come up with the solutions, but then again, you have to look for clues to figure out what the problem is. Is that normal for food scientists like you guys?
Yeah.
That's basically it.
So you wear many hats.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's part of the fun, right? Is solving those problems, right? Like I always like backing out recipes like we were doing the other day from the nutritional label. Like if you know it's possible, if you know it's supposed to work, and trying to understand why it isn't working and then sort of backtrack from that tends to be my favorite type of project to work on, even though it can also be really frustrating because you're stuck or it's sticky or it's something, you tried it for the 50th time and it still isn't quite right. And you're like, I want to get there.
Yeah, that's
gonna get there.
one of my favorite things that we did like just recently is I call it reverse mathing. You're calculating everything in reverse so you can figure out where we need to be at. So like with ProTerra, you mentioned earlier like water, how much water it needs, absorption. So what are other issues have you encountered like from customers about our ProTerra, our textured proteins?
So for the textured proteins, right, maybe that they are adding a little bit too much water. And so, because they're saying, oh, this is soft. And so,
Soggy,
right, or
mushy.
soggy or mushy. Yeah. But it's okay. We got solutions, That's mostly it's because of the water content that's being used. So it's a really easy fix. So that's why we are trying to train our customers and distributors. And also we have these hydration curves or showing just how much water that these different texture proteins can take up over time and also at different temperatures too, because it could be that we are working in room temperature conditions here, but maybe they're a meat plant that's told to
Colder.
Refrigeration
exactly.
always.
They're at refrigeration temperature, and now they're told, hey, now you have to make a plant-based product in your meat plant, and so cold temperatures, it takes longer to hydrate.
Totally different environment.
Right, exactly. But going back to it being soft or that type of thing, if the texture protein is soft, then use less water.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you guys heard of comments about our products having off notes or masking off flavors?
Not as much as some other texture proteins
Yeah.
that I've seen out there.
Our products are really good.
Yeah,
So you don't hear a lot about that.
with some bias. The textured wheat proteins are really bland. I appreciate that because they come from a bland grain, so they don't, and that protein isn't like super bitter. It's not beany.
It shouldn't have those flavors, right?
Right. It has less of them to start with. So it's really not compared to like a soy protein, right? Soybeans have that beany character in there, and it's something you have to overcome in the flavoring, and it's possible, and it's improved a lot, and there's processing you can do in the to the protein to sort of help drive off some of those volatiles that are in it. But yeah, you end up usually having to try and add like a masker or like if you're trying to mimic a meat texture, you need that like fatty mouthfeel that you don't like. Soy protein chunks are not going to have a fat mouthfeel like a beef would. So you have to like, when you're trying to develop that, you have to like mimic those things, and working with your customers to like either help tweak that formula or give them some ideas on like that they can try. Like I'm definitely, as long as I still have something I can idea out there, I'm gonna
Give them options.
Yeah, give them those options.
If this doesn't work, try this one. If that doesn't work, try the other one.
Right.
So yeah, have you ever like had to like go to a customer's facility, like what you mentioned that they have a different environment, we have a different environment, ours is small scale. So have you had the need to go to a customer's facility to kind of figure out what's going on, what's wrong, are they using it right?
Most of the time we can answer those questions, over email, over phone, or other type of video conferencing. But yeah, there are instances where, a customer wants you to come out there to their plant, help them through that experience, or they can actually come here to our tech center. And because we have, smaller pilot scale equipment here in our meat lab, I guess
So our
meatless
customers
lab.
can come here
Yes.
and use our facility.
Yeah. Of
course.
Even better. Because we can be there watching them and guiding them along the way.
Exactly. Yeah. And that usually helps out a lot since we have so much experience with these ingredients, then we can help them help them guide them through that process, that maybe there's things that they didn't think about ahead of time that really can help them out, get to their solution a lot faster. But I'm sure you've been to some plants before to help.
Yeah, well, I mean,
You're more exposed to different plants.
I don't know about all that, but when I was at previous jobs, we would scale up formulas for customers in our facility, right? And part of them is just being there and being like, it'll be okay, it'll be all right.
We'll hold your hand.
Right,
We'll guide you through
or
it.
there's always differences when you scale things up, and so it's just one of those things where you just do it and you just work through it and it'll be okay. And usually the tweaks are really small, like when you work with a seasoning, right? You put oil in it to reduce dusting, right? Small scale mixers don't have the same level of shear that large scale mixers do. So you probably actually don't need as much in a larger facility because it's going to smush it around much more efficiently than my tiny little KitchenAid will, right? It's the same way with anti-caking agents. You don't actually need as much when you're in a larger facility because it's going to disperse it more evenly than my tiny mixer would. You'll also see a lot more color differences that way. And they're because if you have something that's plating a color, it's gonna develop much more strongly if you're plating it in a 5,000 pound batch versus a 500 gram batch.
Speaking of colors, I saw you guys working on coloring one of our textured proteins.
Yeah.
So was it a customer who wanted a different color, or it looked fun? I was just watching everything from this type of Proterra with a light brown color, and now it looks like chopped up beef. So can you tell me more about what happened there and what was the issue? And it seemed pretty exciting.
Yes. So sometimes it is from a customer, but also just from in-house too, that we're kind of guessing what the next question is going to be. So if they can take one of our uncolored Proterra or textured protein SKUs and then color it later on.
Yeah.
Trying to make it more of a beef or a pork color. Mm-hmm. And Jen just got a fun new piece of equipment.
Oh yeah. So I got a new toy recently. I got a small vacuum tumbler. And I appreciate the vacuum part of it. It's used a lot in the meat side, in the meat industry for marinating and stuff. But some of those facilities also can use the plant-based proteins, and you can use it to sort of draw the liquids in a little bit more efficiently. So you don't have to let it sit as long. It can help it hydrate a little faster. Oh, it also helps if there's colors or flavors, you can actually pull it in further. It's the same way.
That small little thing can do all that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Not
so
as
cute.
Not
and
as efficiently.
So slow.
I know. That's my only.
If you put a hamster in it, it's gonna be so relaxed because it's just walking.
It could just roll like one of those hot dogs at the gas station. Yeah, just in there like that. No, that's my only beef with that tiny little tumbler we have versus the larger vacuum tumblers is that they usually turn with more gusto.
So we have a smaller scale equivalent of almost all of the machinery that our manufacturers use here in our building, in our tech center. So, whatever problems they have, we can help them, right? So we have one-on-one, we have training sessions.
Yeah.
We can even fly to their facility.
Yeah, hey, let us know.
Yeah, let's travel. Well, is there anything else that you think that customers struggle with that, like we're here to help?
I guess one thing that I tried recently was making this cookie recipe. And then I was surprised that I had to put it in the refrigerator overnight. And I thought to myself, no way, I'm not waiting that long. I got a pre-gelatinized starch, pre-gel 10 that will help me out in this
Was
situation.
it for a customer?
No,
it was
it was
your
for the
own-
birthday party that we
Oh,
had.
okay. It's your
for-
own recipe.
Yes,
Are
yeah.
you willing to share that
And-
with customers?
Yeah, for sure.
There you
Yeah.
go.
It's a good recipe.
It's a
Everyone
good
loved
recipe.
it.
Now it's a good
Mhm.
recipe.
Delicious.
And it's a crossover with our alcohol side of the company because it had the St. Brendan's.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Uh-huh.
Alcohol, like a boosted up cookie.
Yes.
Chocolate
Yeah,
chip
well,
cookie.
it's got that, it's the, like that, sort of in the Irish cream vein, so it has those lovely caramel notes and all the, like, the creaminess to it. It actually did really good in the
Yeah,
Okay.
and I should have
You're
saved
making me
some. I'm
hungry.
sorry. I know, I just
Snack
gave
time.
away my last
should have
bit.
bought some.
I know. No, I'm saying I was going to, but they disappeared. They were just so good.
They were
They
really
so
popular.
good.
Yeah.
Like straight from the oven, we were just like
Yeah.
jumping on it.
And so that's where I was thinking, I'm not going to leave this overnight. I'm going to add this pre-gel 10 or pre-gelatinized starch to firm up the batter. So pre-gel 10 helps with viscosity control. So it's where it was a very wet batter. So that's why they wanted to have it overnight to kind of firm up. But I mean, you can just skip all that and just throw in that
Oh,
pre-gel
okay.
10. Yeah.
Yeah, that's for baking applications. See, I didn't know that. I
Yeah.
thought I've used pre-gel 10 for other applications, but not baking. So here we go.
Yeah, or like when I'm at home, I always have some Arise 5000 because it helps out with the extensibility.
Yeah.
So if I'm making cinnamon rolls or pizza
you want that
crust,
super
works great for our
stretchy.
customers, works great here in the lab. Why not at home too, right?
There you go.
So-
We live and breathe and eat MGP ingredients. So we can solve any of our customers' problems.
Right. Certainly
just
help
have
them
to-
troubleshoot.
So when customers reach out to you, do you get like general questions mostly, or do they wait till they encounter a problem and so they call you and email you and say, help me fix this problem?
I would say it's both,
Yeah.
or
We get-
all the above.
Yes. The answer is yes.
Both,
Yes.
both.
Yeah.
Equally.
Yes, yeah, both. So it's where maybe there's an entrepreneur and they want to start up a company and have this food product. So in that instance, we'll work together on that recipe, all the way to right there, actually in the plant, they're making a product. There's an issue they're having with like shrinkage or freeze thaw stability or heat lamp stability, that kind of thing. And so always happy to help out with those questions too, because hopefully they are easy, quick fixes because we have some data that we've already accumulated here
like we've
in-house.
done something similar kind of before.
Right. And a lot of times it's just a very small addition that they have to add, like 1 to 2 baker's% of the wheat protein isolates. And then we help out them decide, which wheat protein isolate, do they need it more extensible or more elastic, or for that heat lamp stability type questions, maybe they need it crispier with like our fiber sim or mid-salt crisp, that kind of thing.
So you prefer that they ask you a lot of questions before they
Yeah.
start their formula.
Right, yeah.
Sure.
I
So-
love it when the customers are asking lots of questions.
Yeah.
Always happy to take more questions. That's definitely
Yeah.
one of my favorite parts of my job.
And understanding where they're coming from helps you tailor what you're trying to give them, right? Like if they just want crispy chicken, like the more collaborative we are with them, the better the solutions end up being, because we can put ourselves in their place, right? And put ourselves into that development.
And that's part of our job. It's
Right.
collaborating with them. Let us help you.
Right? Yeah. We're
Not just solve your problems when there's already an issue. Let us help you avoid
avoid
if
issues.
we can.
If we
Yeah.
can.
Because our customers have a lot of like ideas, like with the
Awesome
trends going
ideas.
on right now.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know you could make this. So we're like, wow, that's amazing. So we want to be part of the whole process.
Exactly. Lots of fun, creative ideas that we've seen from customers. And it's always fun just to bounce those ideas off of each other with the customer, or also just within our group too.
With each
You know,
other.
if we're working on different projects, we're collaborating with each other, you know, because we each have our different expertise. So it makes it a lot more fun.
Yeah, you'll see me walk by looking real confused to Sarah's desk, and I'll be like, I need to think out loud for a minute. I am really stuck. And I'll be like, what do I need? Because this is not working the way I want it to. Here's what I need it to do. Like, here's the ideas I have. Do any of these make sense at all? And she's like, maybe not that one, because that doesn't quite work for this. Like when I was trying to add shortening to the pasta and it ended up getting that blistery appearance, right? Some of that just, it doesn't work. And part of it could have been the wrong shortening, or like a different shortening.
Emulsifiers.
Yeah. Or like a different emulsifier to try and like push that through to try to get to where I'm going with it. Right. But it's one of those things where like, none of us is as smart as all of us, to quote another podcast I like a lot. So having that,
It's good.
having that ability to just like interact with people and bounce ideas off. That's how you get innovation, is by sharing and collaborating with ideas.
We're problem solvers internally and externally.
Yeah. Always happy to take more questions for sure.
Exactly. And we want to know what everyone else is doing out there, what our customers are doing out there. We want to be part of the whole fun process.
Right, so we know what to focus on also in the future, of what ingredients to develop next, that kind of thing. That will help them out.
Well, this was fun. Thanks for joining us here inside our pod. And this is Straight Talk about smart food.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
MGP's food scientists are here to solve your culinary challenges. Contact us to discuss how we can help provide delicious solutions for you. Go to mgpingredients.com and click Contact Us.
This podcast does not constitute professional advice, nor does it constitute any terms, guarantees, warranties, representations, or conditions to podcast listeners regarding MGP products and services. The decision to purchase any food products is entirely at the discretion of the customer. Reference to any specific food products in this podcast does not constitute an endorsement by MGP.